Dividends are an essential part of the stock market's total return over time. And specifically, the growth of dividends is very important. You know, if you look at the S&P 500 back to 1957 and just measure how fast has aggregate dividends grown over that period, they've compounded at about 5.5% per year, going back over nearly a 60-year period. So that's faster than the rate of inflation. And historically, it's been one of the key drivers of equity returns around the world. Now, in the last 5 years in the United States, dividend growth has accelerated faster than the long-term average. It's actually compounded about 10% per year in the U.S. And that's contributed to the double-digit equity returns we've seen in the United States. So dividend growth is essential for long-term stock returns, and it's one of the reasons WisdomTree tracks these dividend streams all around the world. Well, we do it in two ways. What we typically do is we weight our dividend weighted indexes based on the aggregate dividends that companies pay. And the beauty of that is that over time, that weighting methodology tends to give greater weight to companies that are increasing their dividends over time. But we've also created a separate dividend growth family in America and throughout the world that selects companies because we think they have the potential to grow dividends faster than the rest of the market. And so there we're looking for specific factors. We have a quality screen and a growth screen. The quality screen looks backwards to try to identify companies, principally large caps, that have return on equity higher than the market and return on assets that's higher than the market. And then we marry that to a forward-looking screen, which is designed to capture growth expectations. And we think over time that might be a better way to identify the dividend growers than just looking backwards for people or companies who've grown dividends in the past. One of the flaws of looking backwards is you may not capture the companies or the sectors that are growing dividends the fastest today. In the United States, typically those are companies that are appearing in the technology sector. So we think our methodology is terrific in terms of capturing where the future payers are likely to come from. Well, in the U.S., we have a predominantly large cap portfolio. We also have a small cap that focuses on the small cap dividend growers. Around the world, we extend that methodology to companies outside the United States in a broad world ex-U.S. dividend growth portfolio, which uses that same methodology to figure out who are the large cap companies that we think can grow dividends faster than the broader market internationally. We have the same strategy in Europe, and we have the same strategy in emerging markets. So if you like the notion of dividend growth, and if you feel we might be in an environment where people have reached too much for yield or paid too much for the dividend yielders, we have a way to get dividend growers around the world, in many cases very attractive valuations. So it's one methodology we apply globally, and we think it makes a great deal of sense for investors who are trying to capture dividend growth in a low interest rate environment.